I don't know about you, but I don't have a driving license. Believe me, I've tried, but every time I got behind the wheel, I had the feeling I was going to crash or run somebody over. But even if I don't have a license or the slightest idea about cars, I can't get enough of Formula One Drive to Survive, a brilliant documentary series you shouldn't miss. Get ready to find out why. If after weeks waiting, the third season of Formula One Drive to Survive had been a complete letdown, I would have felt as frustrated as a Formula One driver who is out in the first lap of a Sunday race. Luckily, it's confirmed. The 3 seasons of the show are equally brilliant. And this is coming from someone who until 1 month ago was clueless about this fascinating sport, so different from any other. Not only because of how much money you need to become a Formula One driver, or because when it comes to winning, the $10 million cars are as important as who is at the wheel, but also because Formula One drivers have to beat their opposing teams as well as their teammates, even if that means making contact at 200 miles an hour. But that fierce competitiveness makes absolute sense if you stop to think about how hard it is to get one of those 20 precious seats in Formula One and keep it season after season. And at the same time, it's because there are only 10 teams, 20 drivers, and 21 races a year that Formula One Drive to Survive manages to cover much more ground than would have been possible, for example, in the NBA with 30 teams and 450 players in the season. But if the sport itself is fascinating, Formula One Drive to Survive turns up the whole thing up to 11. How? By leaving the winners out of the equation and making it all about the teams fighting for a spot in the midfield. After all, they are the ones facing the bigger struggles. And that's what makes the whole show so riveting. Now, if you're a big Lewis fan, don't worry, he eventually comes into the picture, allowing us for once to see the start of the race from the pole position. But even if there is room for the greatest in Formula One Drive to Survive, he's not given a platform to boast about his victories, but for the whole world to see that even the best can make mistakes and lose races. Let's be honest, some came for the sport but stayed for the drama. Sure, you wanted to know how your driver was going to fare in the following race, but I'm sure you were also dying to find out who was going to get stabbed in the back by their team principal, teammate, or driver. And the level of intrigue gets higher and higher as we get to know the drivers a bit better through their interviews, driving, and background stories. And as you start warming up to them, some more than others, of course, you realize that even if they are all competing in the same sport, each of them faces a different challenge. But it's not all about the drivers. To give us a better insight into Formula One, the series follows the team principals very, very closely, shedding light on everything that goes on in between races. And they also interview Formula One journalists who elaborate on certain races, drivers, and relationships. Documentaries are usually thought of as products in which the content overpowers the visuals. Well, not in the case of sports documentaries, and definitely not in this case. The overall production of Formula One Drive to Survive is as sleek as can be, and the first-class editing brings us close to experiencing what it feels like to be on the track by showing the race from the driver's perspective, pulling away at the right time to take us to the paddock, letting us in on the conversations between the drivers and their engineers, and of course, sharing those nerve-wracking pit stops where the mechanics do their magic in under 3 seconds. In conclusion, if you haven't watched Formula One Drive to Survive yet, you should definitely give it a go. And if, like me, you were anxiously waiting for the 3rd season of the show, get ready for a white-knuckle ride featuring a recycled team with a recycled car, lots of elbow bumps, but even more hacks, a few complaints, because as we all know, the squeakiest wheel is the one that gets the grease, a miracle that had me sobbing and shouting at the screen for 5 minutes straight, and as would be expected, lots and lots and lots of uncertainty. And this is how far we get today. If you have already watched the 3 seasons of Formula One Drive to Survive, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. I, for one, can't wait for the 4th season. I guess until it's released, I will follow the Formula One season live for the first time in my life. Gotta go. Have fun. See you in the next video.